Hey guys, we're back with a new video, and so this is a weird video, mostly because I filmed this like a months ago, only to go today, only to go on to find out it's gone. Don't know what happened, must have accidentally deleted it. Don't know how, but so today we'll be talking about Titanic, but there's a twist this time. The twist is this. Um, this is what if Titanic. Well, is there any way Titanic can survive until 2020? This isn't like what if Titanic didn't sink kind of thing, because that's a dumb video that I did. Don't watch it. The only reason why it's still up is mostly just see how many views I get, because it has like almost 500. It's horrible. Oh man. So, yep. So this is the Titanic, famous ship and everything. So basically, to get the whole thing, so why I'm doing this, because I saw a video, and it was kind of some random dude talk about, it was like 7 minutes, and I'm saying like, geez, that's, it wasn't that good, it has almost a couple thousand views. I'm saying like, geez, that's not that good, and I'm sorry, whoever that was, it's been too long since I watched it. So, so now, like, me being, like, a historian, I'm kind of taking this from, like, a historical point of view, on, like, a guy who's most likely just trying to get views and subscribers. So, yeah. So this is Titanic. Everyone knows what Titanic is. It's probably the most famous ship in all of history. So, we have to get everything straight. So the first major thing that really went wrong for Titanic was his sister ship, the Olympic. Uh, basically the only thing different with the Olympic is see the promenade deck, how it's kind of open and kind of closes. All that would stay open, and all that one on the bottom will also be open too, if I remember correctly. So basically, that's the only major difference. So, first things first. Um, so the first major thing that happened was that a officer who was transferred to another ship who was on Titanic right before it set sail took the keys to the binoculars locker, and so they couldn't get in. So on the night Titanic sank, the people in the crow's nest, so the little box up there, did not have binoculars, and that's what a lot of people say, did something, kind of caused the shipwreck. So let's say this time Olympic never went in for emergency repairs after it made a voyage. It was all good, and so officers from other ships didn't get transferred everywhere, kind of thing. So yeah, so now that hasn't happened. So the binocular keys are still there. And on the night of Titanic sinking, let's just say Captain Edward Smith actually does not ignore all the iceberg warnings. Here, a couple things can happen. He can slow down the speed, or he can still maintain the speed of 26 knots, or he can just stop. So let's just say he does not stop and just still, he does one of the two, he either maintains the speed or slows down. So let's say when the iceberg comes up, the crow's nest people use the binoculars, see it, and the iceberg goes right past them. And Titanic does not sink. So let's just say Titanic has now made it to 1914. So the first major challenge in her road to 2020 has now arisen. This is called World War One. So World War One starts, and well, a lot of Titanic had two sister ships, Olympic and Britannic. Olympic, was named for the Greeks, and then you also had Britannic, which was named for the Brits. Titanic was for the Titans, and Britannic was actually named Gigantic, but switched to Britannic. So Gigantic was the same for the Giants. So like ancient mythology stuff, and and I think Lusitania and her three sister ships has like a meaning too, but I totally forgot about them. So now World War II breaks out, and I mean World War One, And so a couple things happen. So a couple of things can happen with Titanic here. Most likely, it's either a troop carrier, a hospital ship, or or still does its passenger crossings. But most likely, due to its size, it would probably be a hospital ship or a troop carrier. It probably wouldn't still maintain going back and forth across the Atlantic. Or okay, also I get this pretty fancy paint coloring job. Well, actually, I get two. If it's a hospital ship, it'd be painted all white and have like the big red cross on the sides. Or if it was a troop carrier or like a regular still cruise ship, they would have painted it with like black, whites, like sky blue swirls kind of thing. Basically, it's like camo, but black, white, and blue. They did it to Olympic. Just look a picture up of that. So let's just say somehow Titanic survives World War One, and so Titanic is fine, but during World War One something bad happened. The Lusitania sank off the coast of Ireland. So now Lusitania is kind of the new Titanic. It's one that we all know and love and feel sorry for. Lusitania will most likely have all the movies. And so, yeah. So now the 20s start. The 20s, it's the Roaring 20s. Everyone's pretty much partying, spending money. So most likely Titanic will still be busy throughout the 20s. But then in 1929, something hits. The Great Depression hits and pretty much ravages the whole world. And so like in the 1930s, the White Star Line, the people who actually owned Titanic, actually did not survive. So mostly because they lost the two biggest ships in the world in the fleet. They had the two biggest ships in the world, Titanic, Britannic, and they lost them. They all sunk, so pretty much damaged them a lot. But so that's one of the reasons why, because no one really trusts them, because now two of the ships have sank, that were deemed unsinkable. So yeah, it's kind of the final straw for them. So they had to merge with the competitor Cunard, who own Lusitania. Like right now, Queen Mary 2, the original Queen Mary, I think the Queen Elizabeth, Queen Victoria, I think there's some other ones too. So, yeah. So somehow, let's just say the White Star Line, well basically, Titanic just needs to survive the 30s. So let's just say somehow it survives the 1930s and gets out of the Depression. Now, a couple things can happen. It can still be under the White Star Line, or it could be under Cunard Line. So one of the two. And sorry if I kind of sniffle and stuff. I mowed the lawn. I'm allergic to pollen, so yeah, I'm just doing great right now. So next, Titanic needs to go and survive World War II, which for her is an extra 2 years, mostly because the Americans didn't get involved in 1941, and by that time the war's been going on for 2 years. So this time, most likely it would serve as a troop carrier kind of thing. So now, somehow, it needs to survive World War II. And mostly kind of due to his size, it'd probably be easy target for U-boats and stuff. So let's just say it somehow survives. And most likely it will be in service till 1945, 1946 until discharged. So let's just say the White Star Line somehow survives World War II too, until Titanic goes back to sailing around the world. So now the 50s start, still life is pretty good kind of thing. In the 60s. The 60s come, and it's like the dark ages of cruise lines, because something called the airplane has evolved so much, now it can fly from New York to London. So now people are not using ships as much, and so a lot of ships didn't survive. Like like Cunard, needed to let go. All the biggest, most famous ships like the Queen Mary, which ended up becoming a floating hotel. Uh, you know, the United States lines both needed to sell their two, famous ships, the SS America and the SS United States, which I do have a video, a two-part kind of mini-series video on both of them coming up. And so now somehow Titanic survives the 60s. This could be in various different ways. That it could still be under the White Star Line, or it was sold to another shipping company, or it's just kind of sitting in the dock rotting away. So let's just say it somehow survived to the 70, well, basically, like, 1960s was kind of the last of Titanic's challenges. Now, once it gets into like the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s, most likely, cruises become more popular again. So most likely it would just be used for cruising purposes, not, transatlantic voyages. But as to just be so in that time frame, like most likely, like it could be like in a dry dock right now, and then so as a 2020, it could be in a dry dock, still sailing, abandoned in a harbor. Won't even be used as a floating hotel, casino. It could be a museum, because now people came up with all these different ways to use ships. So yeah, it's pretty. So honestly, so I hope you enjoyed the video. This is kind of like the crash course one I had, because as I said, I filmed this before, and today I actually went to go upload it just to see it gone. So personally, I think Titanic, it would not have survived until 2020, because you're asking a ship to almost survive 108 years. Yes, that's a lot. So you're asking for a ship to survive that long, and it's pretty nuts. So honestly, if it was still around today, it'd probably be the oldest ship still sailing, to be honest. And like, you know, honestly, who knows what would have happened if Titanic didn't strike the iceberg? Maybe, and also the ship needs to survive two world wars, a Great Depression, a decline in people buying tickets to go on these ships. It needs to survive a lot of stuff to make it to 2020. Like, I'm going to talk about this in some future videos. The SS America and SS United States, they were sold off to 6 different people before, one wound up on a side of a beach abandoned, and the other one's in Pittsburgh Harbor abandoned. Who knows? Be Titanic abandoned somewhere. But but for it surviving to 2022, it's gonna be very outdated too. So sometime we need to get, some, refurbished and stuff, be restored. So who knows? Will Titanic survive until 2020? So if you like this video, please leave a like and subscribe. If you have any comments, complaints, questions, answers to those questions, put it down in the comments below. I read and respond to all of them. And and also, I kind of want to know what would you think? I mean, do you think Titanic could survive into 2020? And if it can, what would you think it would be doing right now as I speak? So see you in the next video. Bye.